Welcome to Bookworthy. Today we're talking with YA fantasy author Katherine Briggs. She crafted her first monster story at age 3, and since graduating from crayons to a laptop, she devours and weaves fantasy tales while enjoying a cup of chai tea. Today we're talking about her Threshold duology, which includes Book 1, The Eternity Gate, and Book 2, The Immortal Abyss, where kings and monsters battle over a legendary treasure. Welcome to Bookworthy, Katherine.
Thank you so much, Valerie. I'm so glad to be here today.
It is a pleasure to have you. Now, from your website's bio, you obviously prefer tea over coffee. But which do you prefer to visit, the beach or the mountains?
Ooh, I think that a good cup of hot tea goes very well with the mountains. I love hiking. I love trees. I love nature and hearing birdsong. I love the beach too, but definitely mountains.
I know they're both wonderful and both have their own atmosphere and aesthetic, but it's one of those, like, if you had to pick one, where would you go? But
so hard.
A cup of chai tea would definitely go better in the mountains than on the beach. Too fun. Well, Katherine, tell us a little bit about the inspiration for your books.
Well, I love characters. When I read, I guess what I really love is watching people persevere through difficult things and triumph over challenges and find unique ways to work with challenges. And so I think I like to explore that in books. And I guess the inspiration for my books is usually a character who is struggling through something difficult or just has something big ahead they have to solve. And I just enjoy kind of puzzling that out, I suppose.
Well, what in the Eternity Gate, you start us off by your main character doing something she's not supposed to. She's going against the king's orders, and you kind of throw her into the action really quickly. and
I really try, Valerie.
You did a great job, because I'm just sitting here like, I don't even think we're in chapter 2, and I'm already like gasping for breath here.
Yay! Success!
Success! Yay! Well, you have some really unique names, because this is a fantasy world that you have created. So you have Sayo as the main character we follow in Book 1, and I believe Toll is who we follow in Book 2, correct?
Yes, that was fun having dual protagonists. I enjoyed that a lot.
Yeah, you mentioned Toll a few times in Eternity Gate, so I've read Book 1, but I've not read Book 2 yet. So I'm looking forward to kind of hearing her side of the story too. But where did you come up with all these unique names?
I just like, it's going to sound strange. I like saying sounds out loud with letters that I enjoy hearing until I find something that sounds nice. And then I just start typing it out in ways that look interesting and fantasy-ish to me. But these names, at the time of writing The Eternity Gate, I'm really good friends with this woman from South Korea, and she had invited me to come and stay with her for a month, and I was just so inspired by her culture and her country, and I asked her, would you help me kind of weave just like a taste of some of these really cool aspects into this book? And she did, and so I'm glad you enjoyed it.
It's always fun. It's like, in a lot of fantasy books, there's usually a glossary or a pronunciation guide or something in there, just because it is unique. And sometimes I think when reading, if they don't have those pronunciation guides, you make up your own version of it. And then when the movie comes out, you're like, what? Who is that? That's not.
I like my way better. No,
Exactly.
And actually, I did make a pronunciation guide and put it up on my website because so many people wanted to know how to say these words. And I really, believe it or not, I tried so hard to make them easy. I really did try.
Well, they're very unique for sure. And in both of these books, culture and language kind of are a big part of the stories. And there is a lot of stuff you hint at, but you don't really go into all the details of the political intrigue and all that. But how long did you work on the world building for this book before you started to write?
I typically have an idea of where I'm going with the world building, and then as I write, I kind of discover it along the way, the details, a lot of the really a lot, even some of the bones really show up as I'm writing, and I do a lot of research. I think our world is just incredible, and I like to I like to be inspired by things in real life and kind of tweak them a little bit to fit into my worlds, because I don't believe there's anything new under the sun. So I like to borrow, and yeah, I just have fun with it. I know they, in the Eternity Gate, they have to go traverse these rocky tunnels, and so I researched portions of our country and other countries that have that, and then I remember my hikes and things like that, and what does it feel like to touch these rocks, and are they crumbly, are they hard, and what would this be like? So I just kind of have fun with it.
It's a lot of fun because what is it? I think at one point the monsoons come in and there's water over the rocks, and you talk about slipping on moss and that feeling. And I felt it. It's one of those, like, I know that feeling. And when a book really kind of connects with something you've experienced, something you have a book that is really engaging and you're really connecting with.
Oh, wonderful. Thank you.
Now, what is kind of your hope or goal or desire for these readers to walk away with? What particular idea?
Absolutely. Because I think most authors, especially in our circles, tend to write what they'd like to read or to offer something wholesome and edifying to their readers. And for me, when I sign The Eternity Gate, I'll add a little tagline that small actions change the world. And I feel like that's what Saya does. She feels very humble. She doesn't feel super important, but she's given these choices to make huge changes in her country and to affect the lives of her friends and family. And we may not find a key to an ancient doorway that needs to be opened. However, all of our actions, they do matter and they do affect the world around us. So I enjoyed dramatizing that for The Eternity Gate.
It was neat how, like, almost every character that Sayo came in contact with, she saw at different points in the journey, and how, like, okay, how am I going to interact with this person this time? I was pretending to be this last time, and I have to be this time. And, kind of that confusing, how do I present myself? How do I stay true to who I am? And the whole thing, which is great for teens and young adults to be reading through, because that's kind of where they're at in the world, is deciding who they are and who they're going to be.
Yes, who am I? And we still figure that out, don't we? It gets sharper and sharper. And yes.
What is it that say we always ask kids, what do you want to be when you grow up? And I'm still trying to figure it out. So
yes.
Like, my kids are always like, you have to figure it out. Like, no, let's take that pressure off your shoulder just a little bit.
I'm so glad you do that, because I think otherwise we would just be trusting in ourselves too, if we just felt like we could figure it all out and it would just be perfect. Yeah.
And no, definitely not. Too fun. Okay, quick question. Why 2 books instead of 3 books?
I'll confess, it was originally planned as a trilogy, but I talked with my publisher, who is just awesome and very wise and been in the industry for a long time. And we realized one of the books kind of stepped back in time, and it was very far back in time. And we thought that it just didn't really work. And then we thought this kind of dual, especially because duologies are so popular right now, it seemed to fit that. And we thought, okay, let's just go for that. It seems like the best shape without a huge overworking of the plot. But I would like to write a trilogy. I think trilogies are the best. I love them.
There's, what is it? Perfection comes in 3s, just like the Trinity. I think there's a correlation between our desire for trilogies and the Trinity. I don't know.
No, I totally agree. I think yes,
there's a connection there.
Absolutely.
For sure. It is interesting that there is this trend in duologies over trilogies, but I think that's really unique in just how much world building you've done. You have created a world similar to what the Shadow and Bone series, where they had the trilogy and then went off and did a duology and more. I can't remember how many books, but you definitely have created a world that's worth jumping into. It could come at from different angles. So I'm excited for one of our questions later, let's just say.
Well, thank you. Thank you for your kind words. And I've actually never read that series. I need to. You're not the first person who's mentioned that connection. So now I'm super intrigued.
Well, yours has a little bit more of a, almost, in my opinion, kind of a Middle Eastern vibe.
Oh, awesome. Yeah.
But what is it? Shadow and Bone has a Russian vibe to it.
Oh, that'd be interesting. Be cool.
So it is pretty unique. But Katherine, when did your writing journey begin?
It began at age 3.
Oh,
I
right.
kid you not. My mom gave me, yes, it really did. It began at age 3 with my mom giving me a notebook and my crayons, as we've already shared. And I really did create a 3-eyed monster stick figure guy. And he was, the monsters go way back with me. He was interesting because he knew he was a bad guy. He would capture the main characters. But he didn't want to be a bad guy. So I don't know what that means for like a 3 to 5-year-old creating this complex character who I think was getting better. Maybe that's a good thing. I don't know.
Little Wreck-It Ralph there, right?
There we go. I love Wreck-It Ralph.
I do too. Because there was it. We always have a choice to choose. Are we going to be bad or good, or or what is it? Even the Wicked movie talks about, or is evilness thrust upon us, or is it a choice we make? And I think
yes, which is an important question to ask, because
it definitely
totally
important.
Changes your life, which one you believe.
Very true. Now, the Threshold duology doesn't really have a Christian. It's not a Christian book in a sense, correct?
Mm-hmm. As far as it being overt,
right,
no.
Right. But there are definitely a lot of Christian vibes in there.
Oh, yes.
Which are super fun to find. But what made you kind of want to go that direction with the book, to go a little more general audience rather than the Christian market?
This is such a hot topic for so long, and I'm still figuring it out. I tried to be really true to the characters, but I also knew some of the popular YA fantasy series that I've read, there's almost always zero. They never mention faith. To me, the ones I've read, it's just not there. And looking at history, that doesn't ring true to me. So I knew there needed to be some form of faith. And of course, I am a Christian, and I do want the good to be good and the bad to be bad, basically. So for this series, sticking to those parameters seemed to work for this story. And then, man, there are some amazing depictions of Christ in literature that just blow my mind. And I tried to explore that a bit more in the Immortal Abyss. But for the Eternity Gate, my thought was, God's so huge. If I can take one attribute, or even 2, like justice and mercy, and try to tackle that's way more than I can handle. So that was my attempt.
I'd say you did a good job.
Oh, thank you, Valerie. I appreciate that.
Because those elements of God are so hard to put into our, mental capacity, and to even just explore, like you said, justice and mercy. And you came up with a whole book on just that kind of idea, which is not forced on you or preached at, but you're like, okay, let's explore what is fair, what is right, where do I stand in front when faced with either destruction or reconciliation, in a sense. And so
yes,
it's definitely
and not giving
unique.
the answers, I think, for especially a YA audience, which is very broad, but letting, kind of like the parables, letting people mull over what they have experienced and what they're seeing too, I think is powerful, something to chew on.
Definitely. And one of the, J.R.R. Tolkien and C.S. Lewis, kind of the fathers of fantasy in a sense, is like, that's what their books did too. And it's just to weave, like you said, there's nothing new under the sun, weave a little bit of our world into another world to help us see the world around us a little bit better.
Yes, exactly. Oh, I love that.
Too fun. Well, did you always want to be an author, Katherine? You obviously started writing at 3, but did you walk away from that thought for a little while and come back?
I did take a break about it. I have taken some breaks that have lasted a couple years, but really have written pretty consistently pretty much my whole life. As far as wanting to be an author, I knew I always wanted to write stories. Being an author, I think, kind of came into my mind in my later teens, where I thought, oh, I'd like to share my stories with others. And then that basically makes you an author, in my opinion.
Very true. We struggle with that for a long time to claim that title. But yeah, as soon as we say we want to share our stories, it's definitely when that title becomes our own, I suppose.
Mm. That's
Well,
my
there's
opinion.
author
I think
and
so.
writer. Well, there's writer and author, and
And what's the difference,
it's a whole.
really? We don't know.
We don't know. Like I said, we're all still trying to figure it out, right?
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. If you wrote a good story, I want to read it. There we go.
There we go. There you go. All right. So, what is your favorite book, Katherine?
Well, I mean, I love your podcast. I know I can't say the Bible because you'll say, okay, I need another one because my favorite, that's impacted me for a long time is The Horse and His Boy. I just love the depiction of the lions and the cats. As far as a new book coming out that I really enjoyed, I was able to early read Truth Cursed by Angie Dickinson, which is another Enclave book. It's coming out late February of 2025, and it was so fun. And it kind of, I really enjoyed it. And it reminds me of some of the fantasy world vibes, maybe, of the Eternity Gate. Maybe I liked that a lot.
Well, yeah, as soon as you said The Horse and His Boy, I'm like, totally have Eternity Gate vibes in that.
Oh, yeah. Let's go on a journey.
Let's go.
Quest time.
Too fun. Yeah, what is it? I have the Chronicles right there on my shelf. And yeah, I think it's one of those books I read through the series at least every couple of years because it's just so sweet. All of it.
Good for you.
So,
good for you.
It's fun.
Oh, yes.
Okay, so what can we expect next from you, Miss Katherine?
Well, I am working on 2 semi-secret projects. I say semi-secret because I tend to drop hints, pretty big hints about them to my email newsletter. But one is I think it's going to be a standalone fantasy in a new world. And then the other one is a little more on the science fiction side. And I actually got started publishing with science fiction short stories. I really love fantasy, and I think it's my favorite confession. But science fiction is really fun, so I'm kind of enjoying dabbling in that as well.
Very neat.
More to come.
Right. More to come. All right, then if you like sci-fi, I have to ask the very important question.
Yes.
Star Wars or Star Trek?
Oh, my goodness. Oh, I think I'd have to say Star Wars. Do you like Star Wars?
It definitely has those fantasy themes and gospel themes in it as well.
Yes,
so,
yes.
Hence why it is still a fan favorite for sure.
Oh, I agree. Those deeper themes, I think. Oh, yeah, they carry for a long time.
For a long time, yes. Well, where can people find out more about you and your books, Katherine?
I love to connect with people through my email newsletter. You can grab that along with a free welcome gift from www.katherinebriggs.com. And I also am on Instagram at @KatherineBriggs_author as well.
Very fun. We'll make sure to have those links in the descriptions. And from what you said earlier, you like to drop hints in that newsletter. So we'll have to make sure to hop on there so we can see what's coming.
And I may send out those earlier science fiction short stories as a short story collection as a welcome gift. There might even be a quiz about elemental giftings pertaining to the Eternity Gate and the Immortal Abyss as well. So, fun things.
That does sound fun. Well, Katherine, thank you so much for being with us today.
I appreciate being here, Valerie. Thank you for inviting me.
It's my pleasure. And thank you for joining Katherine and me on this episode of the Bookworthy podcast. Check the show notes for any books or links that we've discussed, and let us know in the comments if you prefer to visit the mountains or the beach. And it's not too late to join the Bookworthy Summer Reading Challenge. You can find all the information at www.valeriefentress.com. Happy reading!